logic to that. And Gary, I'm giving you a very important job. I'm giving you the job of moving my mouse occasionally so my computer doesn't shut off and ruin the recording. All right, so salutation, the point that you're trying to convey, which is, kind of the meat right here. And then, either room for follow-up or a farewell. So, follow-up / farewell. Okay, so, and then, sincerely, X. Easy peasy. So, salutation, point, usually bulleted, or at least in very brief, short sentences that are spaced out. So you wouldn't write, like, a full paragraph like we've been doing this whole class, like writing everything in one thing. You would space it out a bit to make sure that someone could just look over this quickly, see the main points, and get going. Yeah. Like I said, bullets are acceptable. Bullets and numbered lists. Bullets and numbered lists are perfectly fine. Well, I would threaten to cane you if you ever did that in an essay. It's perfectly fine in a business email. And this applies to both writing a reform or to a request. It should be they spend no more than 30 seconds to 2 minutes reading your email. It shouldn't be, a vast novel of saying, now I know you're very busy. However, this is really nothing major. Don't make excuses. Get to the point. Make it easy to read. 1, 2, 3. Give the details, specifics, and make them easy to read. The follow-up farewell is either what you expect to be done about this, or a nicety like, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Stuff like that. I believe it's on. Is there a second page? Yeah. I have the second page. I'll make a copy later. But so that's pretty easy. The sandwich method is elementary, and I can give you examples of this thing being used. It's really, the reason it's used is because it's simple to remember, it's efficient, and you get your information across quickly. Now the vocabulary is very, very different from the vocabulary you've been using so far. Okay, like, and vary your openings. Don't always start right to the point. Like it's my pleasure to say that we have exceeded our goals this month. Therefore, we're having a staff party in room 2 with free pizza for everyone on the 19th. Bring a friend. Sign. Let me know if you have any questions or inconveniences. Sign Charlie. That sort of thing. That's pretty easy to read, right? Pretty easy to understand. However, you can see that there's a whole different language for this thing. So, everyone got notes on that before I started scraping it away, right?
Yeah.
Good, because you're going to be doing this soon enough. By the way, all of this will be on the final exam, but the good news is that by Thursday morning, you will have a copy of the practice exam in your inbox, so we can go over that. We're still going to have lessons after.
Are we here?
No, you're not, but I have my morning open, which means I can write the exam. Your final exam, glad you asked. I actually have it written on my calendar to tell you guys. The exam is on the 17th, which means you have about 2 weeks, which isn't so bad. And you're getting a practice exam before next class, or before the next class, which means you'll know what'll be on it, etc. Which means today is really focused on getting this business writing essentials down, because that has to be on the exam. And you guys have to be able to do it competently. Luckily, the great thing about business writing as a style is that it's very clear immediately that whether you've done it correctly or incorrectly. Right, to the point, and it also, I can't stress enough, and this brings me to my second handout, Necessary 9. For the benefit of people who aren't here, would anyone like to help me go through the necessary 9, get it up on the board, take notes, whatever?
Necessary 9, spell check.
Hold on. Give me a second. You guys are running me ragged. Right, so. Alright, so. Alright, so number 1.
Spell check.
Spell check. Alright, now you guys are well, I would say even embarrassingly aware of my personal little vendetta against spell check, because it doesn't tell you the difference between, there and there. If you write either of these and you get it wrong, it doesn't tell you. Like the context is off. That said, it's great for catching little errors like, you meant to write of and you write O and then space. That comes up as red automatically, which is good. Yes?
When I use spell check, normally it also puts in certain punctuations or hyphens, or it gives you other words. And if you're not sure, you might pick the wrong one.
Yeah, that's true. That is one of the failings of spell check, is it can offer you substitutions, like you have problems with spelling. I actually noticed this with the Reynard the Fox assignment. Chanticleer is not an English word, so chancellor came up a lot, which is fine. That works. Like I said, there's a reason it's the first step, and that is because it is perhaps the least thorough step. But it also has the great ability of weeding out really, really embarrassing mistakes really, really easily. So it's great for catching typos, fragments, and run-ons. So for that, it's very, very useful. You guys all know this. You guys have all done it. So I'm preaching to the choir here. But still, there's a reason it's first. Second, who here wants to read me the second one?
Print it and read it again from your paper. Note, you need to be fully attentive while proofreading. Start over if you get interrupted.
Okay, so print and read it. Now, this, again, no surprise to you guys, this is one of my favorite steps. You can check for tone, which is something that spell check won't help you with. Like if you wrote an email saying, "Yo, Janet, I've got some problems with this. Please get back to me. I really, really can't wait. Best wishes, Charlie." But spell check wouldn't know that's horribly inappropriate for a business email, right? It can't give context. But if you read that over before you said that, like, "Oh my God, I sound like a complete rube." Well, there you go. That's why this step is useful. It sort of gives you the ability to think twice. Scan for style errors. Okay?
I know my first writing twice when we had to use vocabulary words, and we had gone and all those words.
Yeah.
My first writing had me like that when I was proofreading. I was like, do I sound crazy here? But to me, in my mind, that's really what happened. So I let it go through.
Fair enough. All right, so number 3. Who wants to help me with that one?
Read document out loud to yourself and to someone else.
All right,
So I
so,
can not doing that.
but you've been doing it this year.
I really feel stupid about it.
Can I ask you a question?
You're going to ask anyway, do it.
On those new Microsofts, don't they catch that?
We don't always catch that. There is Natural
Like
Reader,
videos.
though, which will read it out loud to you. So you can do that, or
Did you say
have
natural reader?
Natural Reader. If I have the program name right. I think that's the right program. There is a program that will read it out loud to you.
No, I was talking about the new ones and the new computers. Will
Yeah,
they
some
catch
do.
Those spell checks. Aren't those spell checks more efficient on the new ones?
Efficient, but not. This is a
Like the
personal.
new Windows, the new Outlook.
Right,
Don't
right,
they-
right. But
they
even
catch
so,
that?
no spell check is going to match a human mind for grammar and style. So the spell check is not the end all be all, but they have been getting better at them, to be fair. Okay? So, have it read it aloud to someone else, or if you're self-conscious, you can have natural reader read it out loud to you through your headphones. Alright, so this is maybe taking, say you have 2 paragraphs. This is so far taken about 10 minutes tops. Who here wants to get me number 4?
And the computer read it too. The Zoom text on there to read.
Right, so.
Alright,
You notice that a lot of these steps are redundant, right? How many of these so far focus having them read out loud at some point? 3 so far. You know, you're going to start to love the sound of your own voice by the time you're done. That or you'll go crazy. Either way works for me. Number 5. Mr. Richardson, what do you got?
Make any revisions.
Okay, so actually make the revisions. I mean, all this does you a fat lot of good if you don't actually, make the changes. And which is why this thing is 9 things long. Even when you make changes, it's possible to make new errors. One of my old writing teachers used to say, okay, yeah, you can solve any given problem in writing, but the problem is that when you solve it, you make new problems, so it's never really over. That's why editing is such a time-consuming but satisfying part of writing. When you fix the misplaced parenthesis at the S and take it out, you might realize that's not what you meant after all. It doesn't need to be a plural to begin with. And so you revise that word. Or that paragraph is cut entirely. Or that paragraph is brought back in. So arguably, I would argue that, well, not arguably, I would just straight up say, this is the most important and most messed up step of the necessary 9. Because people love to say, yes, there's nothing wrong with my work. Okay, I'll change a few periods around and I'm done. I mean, this is really the hardest part of any editing. There's a saying in writing that I absolutely believe because I'm a victim of it so much. In writing, you have to kill your darlings. You have to be really, really brutal about how you write. And while it's a lot easier in business writing because you're not dealing with things like feelings or your own past or what you want to do, it's really very similar to the scientific method in the exact writing style. Emotion is not a premium part of it, and you can tell immediately whether it's good or bad. And that kind of sounds like math. Follows formulas, all that sort of thing. In this way, editing business writing is much easier than editing the stuff I've had you write, like fables, stuff from your past, because you guys have an emotional attachment to it, which is fair and right and proper, but also much harder to edit. The good news is that while I've had you doing that, it means you're more prepared to look critically at work you're not emotionally attached to, that you don't, so much care about at a visceral gut level. By the way, the word visceral comes from viscera, which is your intestines.
It's not personal.
It's not.
It's not completely personal.
Business writing?
No, I mean what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
It's really not. It has its forms and it can be used very efficiently, but it's not usually used to deal with the realms of emotion or your past or anything. It's really just, here's what I need, or here's what I want, or here's what has to happen, or why is this a certain way. I mean, it's polite, it's efficient, but it's not really emotionally charged. If it's emotionally charged, you're doing something
Not
else.
write
It's
it.
not
Well,
So in other words, business is good.
I couldn't put it better myself.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean you have to be clinical. I mean, you can throw some inside jokes in there if you're writing just from the email between your friends who happens to work with you. But, you wouldn't write it to your supervisor or even someone under you when you're just asking business questions. You see?
Right.
Right. So, number 6. Still got 3 more of these bastards to go.
There you go. We're still there.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so number 6, guys. Come at me.
Spell check again.
Oh, yeah, because now you've made new errors. Smaller errors, we hope. But, spell check comes up again. There actually are some really, really good internet-based programs that will spell check better than the Word ones, and those are on your necessary 9 thing. I very heartily encourage you to use them. Sites like Grammarly.com. If you look up in a search, if you run a Google search for spell checking and editing software, there are some online engines that will do it for you. Miss Wilma, I know, swears by Grammarly.com. I mean, she ponied up the $15 a month and submitted her text, and they go all through it and break it down. It's very nice. However, it costs money, which is why we're not using it right now. But there are a whole lot of free sites that will help you with this, and you're encouraged to explore those. However, now we're working mostly on editing.
What is it, grammar.com?
Grammarly.com. You can talk to her.
Grammarly?
L-E-Y. L-Y. Grammar with an L-Y at the end.
Grammarly.
Yeah.
Okay. Would they, when you put this in, would free sites come up as well?
Yes. If you run a Google search, and we'll do that later.
Okay.
All right. No problem. I think I'm going to start looking up very quickly. Number 7 is what? Read aloud again?
If it's a critical document, ask the coworker/teacher or student to proofread it for you.
Okay. So peer review.
But if you're working, you
What?
won't ask anybody to really proofread it.
Right. But say your question one more time. Sorry, I just completely blanked for a second.
Yeah, I mean, if you're working on a job or something like that, you wouldn't ask anyone to proofread for you.
Oh, no, you absolutely would. Like, say
That's
you're writing an
embarrassing.
email. No, why wouldn't you? Just say, look, say you share a cubicle or an office with someone, right? Or even if you don't. Say you're writing an email saying, hey, I've been at this company for X years after graduating the Sierra Academy. I really think that my efforts aren't being compensated properly. I would like to talk to you for a raise. You wouldn't put it quite that way, but off the top of your head, that might be how you phrase it. Since it's something you deeply care about, you say, hey, Bill, can you read this over for me? I don't want to sound rude. And Bill, who's been at the company longer than you, will say, oh, yeah, you don't want to do that. That's really a hot button of X, Y, and Z.
Putz.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean,
So no, having another set of eyes is wonderful, especially if it's something important. Like you don't.
So you approve of that?
I approve of it when the other person knows what they're talking about. Yes, I do. Peer review is essential for any sort of writing. Business writing less so because of the formulaic thing, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to have another pair of eyes go over it. It just takes one typo to make you look unprofessional, and that's one thing you really want to avoid like the plague. Number 8.
It never hurts you to read it one more time.
Yeah. Anyone detecting a theme here?
Repetition.
Well, not quite repetition, because if it was repetition, there would be nothing new for you to read over. But since we did number 5, making the revisions, yeah, it is repetition of steps. But once number 5 has happened, it's kind of a whole new ballgame. I mean, there's still elements that are present from the first, but it should read or feel like a new document if you made extensive changes enough. You know?
Then you have to go over it all over
You
again.
do have to go over it all over again.
Basically,
The steps are repeated because changes have been made. If changes haven't been made, you would have stopped like right here, and that would be it.
Right.
And you know, you've
But
heard me say this a million.
how many times can you knock it out the ballpark on the first one, though?
None, ever.
There you go.
I mean, unless you're writing a one-liner or a caption or a cartoon.
Right.
There's no such thing as a perfect first draft, ever. There's no bit of writing in the world that couldn't be made better. At least on the first draft, anyway. So number 9. Who wants to guess? Or tell me.
Also do one last proofread. Use www.spellcheckplus.com to proofread your work.
We're gonna go to grammar.
by the time I do that, I'll be no lost half a day.
Right, so grammar and spelling check. Alright? Pretty self-explanatory. And all this is just so you know, your writing looks how you think, which is clear, crisp, and professional. Like, you don't get confused about your own thoughts, right? You can follow your own train of thought, yes? This, in business writing, is in a way cueing them into your mode of thinking. And it should be just as unambiguous and easy to follow. Okay?
Now and then I make a wrong turn.
Yeah, happens. But by the time that happens, that's why we have all this. In case you do. Alright, so that was pretty easy, right? Pretty self-explanatory. Not terribly strange. So, what I'm going to do now, everyone has notes on this, written down.
Is you going to print those on the second page?
Yeah, I'll do that over break. The second page isn't quite as important. The first one is more important for your vocabulary. So what I want you to do is to use the vocabulary sheets. I'm going to give you a there's that scraper thing.
All of our sheets?
What?
Oh, the business English
Yeah.
vocabulary?
The business English vocabulary is stuff you should use. Although, don't overdo it. There is such a thing as overdoing business writing. And it becomes well nigh unreadable if you overdo it. And by well nigh unreadable, you say, I leveraged the marketing of over 1 billion units of paper, when you really mean, I competently handled my job as shift supervisor at a paper factory. You know? It's where you use too much business writing that it becomes completely what just happened? I think I need a translator. So, what you guys are going to do is you're going to write a brief, either like this. Let's start with emails, because everyone has the format in mind, you know? All right, so we're going to do a business email.
On here?
Yeah,
And then
you're going to write it out in a Word document. And then, do the necessary 9 to it, peer review, whatever. And then turn them into me in time for break.
what you hard copy or
Hard
do you
copy.
want it from Outlook? I mean,
Hard copy, easier. So you're writing to inform. So I'm going to give you the first one of these. So you're going to inform. Let me write this down. Yes, in Word and attach it. While it would make sense to have you send it to me just as the text in Outlook, it also makes it a lot harder for me to print it out and critique it. So, writing to inform. All right, so
Let me get where you are. Writing to inform. So we're getting ready to write to inform.
all right, wait a minute.
But we want to send it in an email to you.
any of you guys ever work on a newspaper in high school or college or anything?
I was outside partying.
Ha.
Let me say this.
Fair enough. So, a quick thing to remember, and I'm almost 1,000% sure that I mentioned this to you before. The great thing about business writing, or at least in this format, the email, writing to inform, should follow the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why.
Let me write it down.
So it's like the internet, except for with 2 more W's.
So did you say type the letter?
Yeah, in Word, and then attach it to me send it to me as a tab. I'm going to give you your topic. Okay?
Can I tap it in Word?
Yes, in Word, and attach it in Outlook as an attachment.
Can I use the format as I would on Outlook?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it would be easier for me.
All right, if you must write it as an actual email, write it as an actual email. But be able to print it out and have a hard copy so you can do the necessary 9. Okay? So, you're writing to, all right, so who? I'm going to do this first one a little bit for you. So, hold on.
Let me finish right first because you know.
Your supervisor,
So we gotta make up a company and everything?
I'll let-
Supervisor name?
all right. So who? Your supervisor, Mr. Wednesday. What?
Come on,
Huh?
give him a name.
Mr. Wednesday is a totally legit name. I knew a man named Wednesday. He hated his last name. I made fun of him for it mercilessly. It was great.
I think I met his cousin. Slide
You're
that.
sad as great.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
That
What?
was He is sick.
I'm not sick.
Yes, you are.
Received a shipment
Ooh, boy,
new. All right, let's go with chairs. Of 1,000 new chairs. Fine. When? Due to arrive May 3rd, 2014.
But let me ask you this. How does this sound if we say we? Oh, will. Okay,
Well, there you
thank
go.
you.
Where
That's short, right?
blank company.
Make up a name.
Yeah. I want you to have a little bit of fun with the name. Since this is our first writing for business and writing to inform, we're going to do a similar exercise after break with writing to request. But you know, have fun with the company name. Make it silly, make it vulgar. No one besides me is going to see this. So if you want to slip in, you know, funny ways to put a swear word in there, go ahead. But don't do it in the future. This is your time to sort of goof around with this. All right, and why is less necessary, but you know,
Why do
To
you need new chairs?
replace
My back hurts.
faulty old models.
Okay.
All right, and then you know, so salutation.
My supervisor.
Right?
We can't put you. Oh, Mr. Wednesday. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And who? Salutation and you know, sincerely. Sincerely slash if you have any questions, contact.
That goes on an inform letter too?
What?
That goes
I'm
on
giving
an
you a
inform
choice.
letter? Oh, okay.
Why are you taking a picture of me, Mr. Cornelius?
Got a board thing each on there.
Ah, fair enough. Did you get a good shot?
Yeah, good.
Alright, so, just to be clear, we're writing to inform to Mr. Wednesday. The office will receive a shipload of 1,000 new chairs, shipment of 1,000 new chairs due to arrive May 3rd, 2014 at the blank company headquarters, you know, state, or address.
Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be at our office.
Right, but, you know, come on.
So we're
Work
gonna give
with
the
me.
address of our office?
Work with him.
What if they have multiple offices?
Oh.
What if your supervisor isn't, you know, working at your site?
Oh, yes.
So,
And then, now then I have to have the address and everything?
yeah,
Like
make
I
it
have to
up.
make my address
make it
and
up.
their address and,
Just say your address. Like, they will be delivered here at this time at this
but I'm
place.
talking about when we start the letter.
Hmm?
We have to start the letter with.
No,
the
this is a
address.
business email, remember?
Oh.
So if it's an email, he knows
Oh,
who it's
okay.
from, etc.
So,
So you'd say, Dear Mr. Wednesday, etc.
Just put my
Right.
signature line on it.
So remember, don't go strictly according to this model. Like what I don't want to see, guys. Can I get your attention real quick? What I don't want. What? Moment. What I don't want to see is you simply copying this and just leaving the who, what, when, where, and why out. Like, feel free to mix. You know, as you know, we will be receiving 1,000 new chairs to
Don't
replace
tell
our
us
faulty old
anymore.
ones.
please.
Right. That it was
Good.
That's enough.
Good.
Thank you.
So, too much information?
What do you think?
The best
Yeah.
kind of
You're
information.
messing me up.
All right. Well, that is certainly my last intention, Miss Anderson, is to mess you up. All right, good. Remember, necessary 9, guys.